Well, everybody, welcome to week 6 recording, and week 6 covers the presentations unit. This will be the last recording for the class. So here I am in the class, and just a couple reminders. I have some assignment samples up here for the for the documents unit and spreadsheet unit. I probably will not have examples for presentations unit. I'll see that's pretty much straightforward. So you have that, also the index of all the recordings to help you out. Okay, getting into week 6, if I move down to it, you'll see that week 6 is all about presentations. You have 2 assignments. You have project 1, which is the basic presentation, and project 2, where you do some additions to that basic presentations. And let me see, I don't have a quiz listed there, and yeah, there is a unit exam, so I don't have that listed in here, but obviously you do the unit exam, and I may even have it listed in week 7. But anyway, you can kind of see what the work is that you have to do. So presentations unit, go ahead and jump right in here. And before we do, as always, the Class Connect write-up. So what are 2 things that make a presentation very distracting? Then you'll go through the presentation Section 2, page 4, make a list of 3 bad points, 3 good points, and how is the Slides tab useful? Okay, things that can take away from a presentation. So here we are in the presentations unit. So you can see we're going to learn about Microsoft PowerPoint, or you might be using OpenOffice, their presentation program. So in Section 2, the thing about presentations, and what has happened is that when you want to persuade somebody or change their behavior, change their attitude, tell them about something, you do that in a certain way, but then you combine it with computers, with technology, then you have what's called persuasive technology. And PowerPoints and presentation type programs are one way to use technology to persuade somebody. That's what a presentation is all about. So we're going to look at the fundamental concepts of PowerPoint, basic elements of PowerPoint. So persuasive technologies. So go through this and kind of figure out what are persuasive technologies. Do the little self-check. Okay, the do's and don'ts of PowerPoint. Well, first off, this says a poorly created presentation, too many colors and graphics may be distracting. So right there is a first Class Connect write-up question. Too many colors and graphics may be distracting. So let's go back to the write-up. So there's the first thing, too many colors and graphics. Now on the second one, go through the presentation on Section 2, page 4, make a list of 3 bad points, 3 good points. So this is Section 2, page 4, and this is the presentation right here, the do's and don'ts of PowerPoint. So you go through that and come up with 3 good points and 3 bad points about PowerPoints. Not about that presentation itself, but about PowerPoints in general, and that presentation tells you all those things. Opening a presentation, just like any Microsoft Office program, you go File, New, or File, Open, and you're ready to go. Navigating your presentation. Of course, you have all these tools that are available for you. Now, the nice thing about PowerPoints is that you have what's called the Slide tab, see it on the left side. And with the Slide tabs, it gives you a visual of all the slides in your presentation. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to go through every slide one at a time right here in the main screen. When you want to go to a slide, you double click on it and it'll open for you. So that's how the Slide tabs is useful. It gives you a visual of all the slides in your presentation, and you can go from slide to slide right from there. You can also use your page up and page down key to move through a presentation. Okay, the slides as pages. So yeah, think of PowerPoints as a separate page. Like if you're doing a word processor program, a PowerPoint slide would be a separate page of that PowerPoint presentation. So this is kind of showing you through this, walking you through it a little bit. Then saving your presentation, of course, File, Save As, and then you're ready to go. So we've looked at each slide as its own text versus, a given word in page, or a given page in Word. Slides have different types of information, text, graphics, images, and presentations are a form of persuasive technology. So now to Section 3. Let's look at the write-up, see where we are. So we did all these things. Slide tab, how it's useful, we did that. Okay, section 3, what are the main components of a typical slide? Okay, so for creating and formatting a presentation. So of course, this is set up different from the spreadsheets and the Word, the documents unit, because they have these automatic presentations that run for you. So you can run through this presentation and it'll tell you how to create and format the presentation. And in this unit, we're going to look at the concepts behind PowerPoint, basic elements of a PowerPoint presentation, and you're going to create and manipulate a presentation. So a good rule, obviously, is when you first start a document, go ahead and save it automatically. That's what I almost always do. I'll open up a blank document, I'll give it the name I want, and then all I have to do is just do Control S from then on out, and I automatically have it saved. And the different slides. Of course, the first slide is called the title slide. This would be where you would have your main heading, and then you'd have, these are the text boxes that are part of your slide, part of the PowerPoint slide. You can type and put in all the information you want to in those text boxes. Now what this is doing, it's having you do a practice one, so you can do this practice one if you want, but you really don't need to worry about it. You can see that they're finishing up that title slide. But I wouldn't worry about doing that practice. Just kind of watch it. You can format the text box. You can highlight the text box, or you can highlight the characters in the text box, whichever way you want to do to format to change the text. So here's a little tutorial on changing the format of the text, so go ahead and watch that. Then adding a slide. You'll see a new slide button on the screen. You can also do insert new slide. There are different ways that you can do that. Bullets. Bullets are a really important part of a PowerPoint. And this ends up being the one of the main components of a PowerPoint are the bullets you have. So you can see that you use bullets in presentations because then people can easily read the information rather than having to read a whole paragraph. So slides give you just a quick synopsis of the information. So on that one Class Connect write-up question, it said right here, what are the main components of a typical slide? Well, really the main components of a typical slide are text, graphics, and bullets. Text, graphic, and bullets are the main components. Now here you need to look at this and watch this little presentation because it tells you how to do a numbered list. So you can see it had the information typed about the cat, then highlighted it and made it into a bulleted numbered list. You have to do that in your work later on. So that's I call that an automatic numbered list. So you need to be able to do that. So in summary, we looked at text boxes, how they can be formatted. We looked at bullets, and what presentations normally have. It's your first assignment for this unit. And I would just call this, after you save it, just call it Unit 5, Project 1. And this one, actually they're going to have you save it as Science Experiment 1. So go ahead and save with what they want you to do here. But what you're going to do here is you're going to take that science experiment from the Documents unit and make it into a PowerPoint. So you can use lots of that information. So you're going to have a title slide for your experiment, the name of your experiment, and your name. One slide describing the objective in a bullet form. So remember you have that objective paragraph in the Documents unit. So turn that into a bullet list, an automatic bulleted list with bullets, not numbers. Now on that, your objectives should not be full sentences. So you're going to take your full sentences from your original objectives from the document that you did in like Unit 3, and you're going to shorten those up so they are shorter objectives. So there's slide 1 is the title, slide 2 is the objectives, slide 3 you're going to use the procedures that you had from when you did this in the Documents unit, and you're going to make that into a numbered list. So pretty easy, really easy actually. You probably can knock all this out in about 10 minutes if you still have your file from the Documents unit. And make sure you click right here to see how you're going to get graded. So again, you'll save this as Science Experiment 1, and then you'll submit that. Let's go back to the write-up and see what questions we had in 3. Main components of a slide. We talked about that, didn't we? Graphics, text, and bullets are really the main components. Okay, section 4, what is a floating toolbar? So now we're into section 4. So section 4, we're going to talk about drawing diagrams. You'll do part of this in the last part of this activity, last part of the assignment for this. So we're going to identify the basic elements of a PowerPoint, manipulate a presentation, and create diagrams. So as you look at this, the drawing tool. So you can mouse over these to see what each of these items does. A lot of these you're probably familiar with, I'm sure. And if you don't have the drawing tool available in PowerPoint, you can view it by going to View Toolbars Drawing. Now the drawing toolbar is what's called a floating toolbar. That's a separate box that can be moved around. So that was the Class Connect write-up question. So you'll be able to just move that toolbar around wherever you want it. So drawing an object, watch this presentation. It'll show you how to draw an object, how to draw a rectangle on your screen. You've done lots of these things, so I don't think any of you will have issues doing those types of things. Selecting objects, so once you select, then it has those handles on the outside, and you do all kinds of things to those handles if you choose. And once it's highlighted, you can make them bigger, smaller, whatever it is. Okay, fill versus line. Now this is going to talk about filling in a box as opposed to putting lines around boxes. So look at that formatting. You'll need to use this when you get into the activities you'll do at the end of this presentation. You're going to do some fill color and things like that. Resizing an object. So you make it highlighted, then you can grab the handles to make it smaller or larger. Okay, text and objects. So you have a text box that you can move around. That text box, you can also obviously type text in it, and you can color the text in the box, or you can make the box color. So lots of different things you can do with that. So summary, it says a picture is worth 1,000 words, but presentations are really useful too, because you can in presentations you don't type very many words. You just kind of think of a presentation as a picture, and you use diagrams to support your points. Okay, the last project for this class, here it is. You're going to open up Science Experiment 2 or Science Experiment 1. You're going to open it up after you got a good grade on that. That was the one we did before that had 3 slides. Immediately save it as Science Experiment 2. Then you're going to put a slide at the end and give it a title. And then this is going to have drawings to supplement your procedures. So it could be a flow chart of what your procedures were for your science experiment. It could be a number of things. Here are some requirements. At least 10 objects, 4 to 6 different colors. You're going to do some fill in, and you must have at least 1 arrow and 1 auto shape. So go down here to click here to see how you're going to be graded. You can see these are the requirements. You're going to be doing quite a bit of graphic work on that 4th slide of your original presentation. And again, you're going to save it as Science Experiment 2 and then submit that. Okay, section 5. Let's go to Class Connect Write-Up. So we did floating toolbar before. Keyboard combination to undo the last keyboard command. Okay. So now section 5, this is about tables and charts, how you can put tables and charts in a PowerPoint. Some of you may have done this stuff before, but here you can see a table that, actually it's not a table, it's a set of data, right? But now you look at it in a table and how much more organized it looks. So basic elements of PowerPoint we'll look at, how to manipulate a PowerPoint, inserting tables in a PowerPoint. So as you look at this, you can see all the data in this table. So there are very few words on this slide. It's very easy to read this information. And inserting a table. Here's a little presentation or a quick video that'll show you how to do it. So it's really easy to do. Just insert table and tell it how big you want it to be, and then you have that done. So here's some examples of tables. 3 columns, 6 rows, or 3 rows, 6 columns, and you can put, daily schedule. You see how all that formatting can be done to, it's almost like a spreadsheet, isn't it? So formatting cells, so each of those cells within that table is like its own cell in a spreadsheet, so you can do whatever you want to with those individual cells. A little bit more formatting, cleaning it up a little bit, so obviously you want to make sure you do that and that your tables look nice. The undo button. Whenever you do something and it doesn't work out right, you can do the undo button, so that's at the top of your screen, or you can use Control-Z. So hold down the CTRL key and hit the letter Z. So Control-Z is to undo previous command. Other options, reduce the size of the font so everything will fit in the cell. You can change the words, rotate the words. There are lots of different things you can do in a table that you create. In the summer, we talked about tables that show information more in a structured way. People can stay more focused and organized on what you're trying to present, and it highlights more of the important information that you want to project about your topic. Okay, section 6. Let's go to the write-up. So I already did section 5, didn't we? We answered this one. So in section 6, keyboard shortcut to view a slideshow, different ways. Different ways you can print out your slides. And there's another question down here. For some reason, my screen won't scroll down to it. I can't remember what that question is. That's odd. My screen won't scroll all the way down to it. Well, hopefully I'll cover it, right? So keyboard shortcut to view a slideshow, different ways you can print. Okay, now that we know the presentation, you have one ready to go, let's discuss like the mechanics of it. Explore different modes of a presentation, manipulate a presentation, and print handouts. So you open a slideshow. So slideshow, then view the slideshow, where the shortcut key is F5. So if you have a presentation on your screen that you're working on, just hit F5. That's the shortcut key to view a slideshow. And many different things you can do once you're viewing a slideshow. Next slide, you can see the different commands you could use. Previous slide, end of the slideshow, just hit escape. Advance to slide 14, so just type the number 14 and enter, so you can see there are different ways you can move around within the presentation. Speaker notes. Speaker notes are a great way for you to know what information you want to share with people who are viewing your PowerPoint. So you can see down below you have these speaker notes to help you out. Let's say effective to help you out doing an effective presentation, so you have more information. So speaker notes are important to help the presenter present information better. So that's what speaker notes are for. Hey, printing handouts. You can print your PowerPoint like 1 slide per page, or you could do, as this shows, 6 slides per page. You can see that right here, 6 slides per page. You can do 3 slides per page, etc. So many different ways that you can print your handouts. You can also print your notes out, so you can print the note page, and then you could have that to use as you share your presentation with people. Here's a tutorial on the toolbar, so go through that to learn a little bit more about PowerPoint toolbar. So slideshow mode gives you, if you're showing it on a projector with a bunch of people in a room watching it. Printed handouts, we've talked about that. And then speaker notes can give you guidance as the presenter, give you guidance as you do the presentation. So review all this stuff we learned about a presentation, text boxes, bullets, slideshow mode, etc., right? We learned all that stuff. Now you have the unit exam. So if I go over here, unit exam preview I have, and the unit exam right there. So I'm going to go back to the Class Connect write-up. And again, I can't see the last question, but I think that last question was about presenter notes or something. So I think I probably covered everything in section 6, so you shouldn't have any trouble answering all of these questions. So this unit is really easy, and again, you have just 2 assignments in this unit. You have just the basic PowerPoint that you'll start. So if I go to week 6, you have the project 1 that you'll do, and then you have project 2 that you'll do. And when you do project 1, you just use your original science experiment from the documents unit. And you just kind of almost convert it to PowerPoint. You just kind of copy it over and do the right things with that in PowerPoint. Then in project 5 is where we're going to be adding graphics and things like that to the 4th slide. So that's all I have for you. And that's the last of this course as far as your real coursework. We did the presentations unit, then you have the semester exam. So if you get all this coursework wrapped up quickly, then you can do work from other classes, right? Okay, that's all I have, so I look forward to your work coming in. Bye.